It's time to build.
Welcome back. As we mentioned earlier, the death toll from the coronavirus pandemic is closing in on 200,000 as the president continues to downplay the threat of the pandemic. Here with their medical perspective, vaccine expert Dr. Peter Hotez, and is the Dean of the National School of Tropical Medicine at the Baylor College of Medicine, and Dr. Nahid Bhadelia, an infectious disease physician and an MSNBC medical contributor. Dr. Bhadelia, let me just start with what you heard from the president last night. Dr. Fauci contradicted it, but this idea we're turning a corner, what corner is it and what's around it?
Yeah, Chuck, I think the concern that most public health officials right now have is that we're actually going to see an increase given that we're going into the fall and winter months. But I think the bigger concern is, we're at 9/11 and we're talking about 9/11 right now. And right after that big event, one of the big things this country did was invest in global health security. And the idea that the threats to this country could be multiple, the emerging pathogens are one of those threats. And when you talk to anybody in my field of pandemic preparedness and all the simulations that we've had and all the preparedness activities that we've had, I think none of us actually consider the fact that the Achilles heel to the American pandemic response might actually be our own White House. None of us had on our bingo cards that it would be the President of the United States who's having large maskless rallies that potentially propagate this emerging respiratory virus. And certainly none of us planned on the fact that it would actually be the leader of this country that would downplay the virus so much that to the point where there might be a portion of the population that doesn't believe that the pandemic is a threat. The concern is pandemic response doesn't just happen in government agencies and federal agencies. It happens in our houses, it happens in schools and restaurants. It requires the cooperation of the public. And by driving a wedge in our population, we're basically prolonging and worsening the response to the pandemic.
Dr. Hotez, is it possible to, would you be comfortable calculating the lives lost by the president's decision to downplay this virus?
Yes, absolutely, Chuck. That's certainly possible. But just to reinforce the comments that the doctor just made, she's absolutely right. I was in Washington, D.C. on 9/11, just to put this into context. I was very moved by the last segment. At that time, I was chair of microbiology at George Washington Medical School and saw the smoke rising out of the Pentagon, put on a stethoscope, went over to the emergency room to see if we could help. But it was such an awful, awful day. And one of the things that happened, in addition to launching the war on terror, is the Bush administration and then the Obama administration expanded it, was to launch a massive infrastructure to respond to pandemic threats. And what this president has done is piece by piece try to dismantle it. And by interfering with the work of the major agencies of CDC and FDA, and really never launching a national response to COVID-19. We never had a federally led response.
Hi, Susan.
Hi, Susan.
Hi, Melanie.
Hi,
Susan. Wow, this says it's recording.
I know, but they're putting some of this stuff on YouTube.
Oh.
So you're going to be on YouTube probably, so you can do it anytime you want.
I'll be darned.
I got an email about that this morning.
I did too, but
Well, I checked it out.
Is Ellen coming today?
Yes.
Melanie, thank you for our texts.
Sure.
That was great. It was good to know. So we're actually going to start seated whenever you're ready. No rush, we're ahead of time.
That's correct. It's open.
I don't know if I'm the right thing. Join with Leah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do.
Okay, I went to the email. Oh, that's what I had.
Susan,
Yes,
Alan's having a hard time getting on.
I see him. He's connecting to audio at the moment.
Okay. Don't click that.
I can work off yours if I have to.
I can hear both of you.
His says when system dialog prompts, click open. Maybe you should start all over again.
I'll work off of yours. How can I just go to this?
There you are.
I got it.
Yay!
Thank you.
I did nothing, but good. So we'll start seated just for a moment. And this is really just to assess how you're feeling. If you need to sit on something to be a little higher because the hips don't feel so great down here, you do that. I'm just going to ask that you find a comfortable place to sit with your legs. We're eventually going to move our legs like this. So you want to have some space in front of you to be able to do that. So we'll just stay quiet for just a moment. It could be that you could sit cross-legged. If this quietness and this posture does not suit you, you could lie down on your back as well. If this is the place that you are, you're going to try to drop your tailbone down and lift the neck up. And I'm just going to probably say this once or twice. Someone said it to me and I kind of liked the whole idea, is to be able to use your abdominals like a little zipper here. So you're just going to feel that without changing the shape of your spine. So you're not tucking or anything. You're just sitting tall. You're going to feel that from the pubic bone, there's this little zipper. So the pubic bone comes in and pulls underneath your navel. And then it doesn't stop there. It goes all the way up underneath your ribs. So you've really got all of this length here. So I am going to ask that you take your hands behind you and then just let your legs be in front of you and the feet are as wide as you're comfortable having them. And you're just going to start to take your knees from side to side. So this is about loosening up the hips so it doesn't feel so great. Maybe this way. We're also going to do it while we're lying down. But here you're having some internal rotation of your leg bone and then it goes to external rotation. And you're using your arms to help you so that you don't fall backward. And you're noticing if you can breathe here. So you're trying to inhale through the nose and exhale through your mouth while you're here. So you're Finding out how you feel. You can use a little bit of pressure with your arms to straighten your spine a little bit, not straighten it necessarily, but make it longer. So you're rolling over the side of your hips as well. We're going to do it for a couple more breaths. You can even, if you can see me, I'm taking my hand and moving it over to one side so that I can get a little bit of a twist here so my hands support me that way. So just really opening the hips, but finding a little massage to your hips. And then I'm going to face this way, but we're going down more toward the forearms. So now more of my back is on the mat. I really have my lower spine on the mat. And I'm just going to take my knees from side to side again in a very similar way. If this bothers you to keep your head, neck, and shoulders up, just go ahead down, which is where we're going to meet anyway. But now it's rounding over your lower back. And then go all the way down. And once we're down, you're just going to stretch out. So stretching all the way out onto the floor. So stretching arms, stretching legs. Maybe you flex your heels. Maybe you point. Maybe you circle your ankles. So there's a lot of work that happens in this extended spine like this. What we're going to do is make it into an X. So I was looking up the word, somebody used the phrase starfish pose. So we're in a starfish pose, and there's a whole bunch of starfish workouts that you can do. We're going to do one of them. So this is an X, right? So the arms are in a wide V and your legs are in a wide V. So if you would like to try this, you're going to bring your left leg up and your right arm up, and you're just going to touch somewhere on the leg and then go back down to this X. And then you do the opposite limb. So not touching your toe necessarily, right? But touching somewhere, maybe to the shin or to the outside of that leg. Just a couple more, just noticing if this is tensing up in the neck. You're trying to move from the ribs. The abs are working here. And then that's all over. That's all over. So now bring your knees bent. Take your arms down by your side. And what you're trying to do is just, what we're going to do is a little bit of rocking of our hips. So you're going to curl as though you're going to start your bridge, but then you go out of your bridge and then you arch. So you should not have to really lift your ribs off. It's really your lower body that is kind of rocking in this place of almost lifting your hips and then deciding not to. And then we're going to do a bridge, a full bridge. So the arms can go down by your side. You're looking up toward the ceiling. Your neck is long. And then as you begin to curl your hips up or lift your hips up, you'll really try to extend your body. So the knees extend out over the toes. Your neck is long. Your shoulders are wide. And you're going to feel the back of the legs lifting the hips up so that this is trying to get flat where your leg meets your hip. And then keep your hips up and take your spine down from top to bottom. So we're going to do that a couple times because each time you do it, you might find a little bit more length. And if you want to, you could take your arms up while your hips come up. And then you can take your arms down while your spine comes down. Kind of matches it. You can also take the arms in a circle all the way around. So decide if you want to do that. You can also make the circle in the opposite direction. But basically, make sure you're breathing and elongating. And I feel the back of my legs here. I'm opening up the front of my hips. I'm still trying to use some nice length in my abs, length in my side body. And then please come back to this X. So V arms, V legs. See if you can drop the whole rib cage down so you're not in an arch here. And then we'll take a side bend here. So you're going to take your left arm over to meet the right side of your body, and you can keep looking up at the ceiling, but your right ear is going toward your right shoulder. And then you'll take that left leg over to join your right. And you're using your breath to drop your ribs down, to drop your shoulders down, to drop your hips down. Maybe if you want to, you can take this right hand onto the left wrist and give yourself a stretch there. So make sure you're not crunching this right side to which you are bending, and that means you just have to really reach out through that right leg to do a nice elongation there. Now come back to the center. And again, my ribs pop up, so I'm dropping my ribs down. Now over to the other side. Take the left ear toward your left shoulder. Take your right arm all the way over to the left. Take your right leg to your left. So I'm just going to tell you, you're going to be working some side bends and some rotation of your legs a little bit today. This is parallel legs. You're going to breathe. You're going to drop your rib cage down, hips down. Trying to create some space in this left side as well. So reach out through your left leg. Both legs are lengthening. And come back to the center. And then bend the knees. And then go ahead and hold on to the back of the legs to just let your knees rest in toward your chest. And you can do a couple things. You can circle the legs together in one direction and the other. Or you could also have separate leg circles in both directions. So it should feel good on your lower back. You might feel a little rocking going on. So we're going to stretch our hamstrings so they're ready to hold us when we go to stand. So you're going to bend your left knee and straighten your right leg. And then take your hands maybe on the back of the leg, maybe all the way up and get a stretch in the back of the leg. You can point and flex your foot, circle the ankle. So you're getting a stretch there. Now we're going to try a little bit of, take your thumb. I have my right thumb right in this right hip crease because I want to make some space there. And I'm going to let my ribs drop down, my belly drop down. No hardened abs, just really drop down so that they're supple, lean. And you're just going to take that right leg down and then bring it right back up. And it goes down, it lengthens as best you can out of the hip, and then reach it out of the hip to come back up by dropping your belly down. And then bend this right knee, cross it over the left thigh, and give yourself a figure four stretch. Should feel good. There's a, we're always pretty tight in this hip area. So you can do that. You can also put that left foot down. We often do this, and you can just rock from side to side, giving you some different stretches. Keep breathing. Keep noticing the quality of your breath. It's really good to be able to take full deep breaths. Otherwise, your muscles don't get any oxygen. Now, bring both legs into your chest again. See if you can lengthen your tailbone. So the challenge is not to curl the tail, but to keep the tailbone nice and lengthened, and then hinging your knees in toward your chest. Now place your right foot down and stretch your left leg. Same thing here, maybe taking the hands on the back of the leg and just giving yourself a nice stretch. You can point and flex and circle the ankle. And this is your abdominal work, so relax your shoulders. Make sure your belly's not pooching. And this leg, with a little space in your hip, I have my left thumb right in my hip crease. I'm going to take that leg away from me. I'm going to reach it out of the hip. I'm going to sink my belly down to bring the leg back up. And you do it one more time. Keep pressing down with the right foot. Reach it out of the hip to come up. And then add this figure four, crossing the left ankle over the right thigh. Yay! And I like to take my hips from side to side, or I even like to circle It just gets different stretches. Maybe I stretch my arm overhead to get a nice stretch there. You decide. Breathe. Here's another thing I do. I'm internally rotating one of my legs. I don't know if you can tell. So we're just getting a lot of movement. That's what we're going to work on today a little bit, is the internal and external rotation of your legs. So coming out of your figure 4, you're going to take your feet together, knees apart. This is called Supta Baddha Konasana, right? It's opening the groin area, opening up the inner thighs. And then you're going to do the opposite. It's not as easy. The toes go to the outside. The knees go to the inside. Just go where you can go and notice that the inner spiral is happening in your legs. Just be careful. And we'll do that one more time. This feels, everybody's a little different. You can also put blocks underneath your knees to encourage your knees to just relax down. And then you do the opposite. So our legs are moving inside of the hip. Our hips don't have to move. Now bring the legs up to what we would call tabletop, right? Your knees are right over your hips and your feet are in line with your knees. And then open the legs out up here. And then pull them together here. So same thing, but now it's up in the air. Out and in. Nice. All right, now just getting a nice stretcher to take your legs out to the side. You can bend your knees, but it's more about opening the thighs, right? Opening the thighs. Letting the belly and the ribs relax down, letting your neck relax, letting your jaw relax. And then from here, we're going to try a little half happy baby. Put your left foot down. Bend your right knee in towards your chest. See if you can keep the right foot right over the right knee. And maybe hold on and pull it down so that the knee goes in toward your armpit. Oh, breathe. Now you're going to switch your legs. So this is the knee goes toward your chest, toward your armpit. Your heel is over your top of your knee and you're holding on to the outside of that leg and pulling that leg down. So that knee goes toward your armpit. Just so that you know where you're going, I know somebody who asked me to try to get my knee down to the floor. And I was ha, 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 ha. That was Richard, by the way. Funny guy. All right, double happy baby. If you can, you're trying to reach for the outside of the foot. And all you have to do is notice the name of this and you're like, oh, that happy baby, right? And you can rock your happy baby from side to side. Don't fall over. You have to use your ab muscles so that you don't fall. Relax your shoulders, relax your jaw. This is so good for you, Susan. Now go ahead and place your feet back down and stretch it all out. That was a lot of deep hip flexion and now you're extending at the hip. All right, we're going to roll off to the side to come to a seat. Slowly, noticing how you feel. That was a lot of time on our back. And so you're just going to come to the same place where we were when we first started. We just started right here. And, you know, do your hips feel any different? The goal is, the answer would be yes, they feel a little different. While you're here, you're just going to add a side bend. So you can add your side bend with your arm or not. And just notice that it is the whole side you're stretching. So oftentimes we think, oh, I'm opening my ribs. But can you feel that whole chain? So our whole body is a link system. So it's that whole link. You know, everything is connected. Very nice. And while we're here, let's add a twist. So you can twist to one side. best you can, and the other. You can use your hands to help you create some leverage here. Take your time. I'm going a little fast. So what we're doing is really moving our spine in different ways that it can move. It can move in a spiral and a twist like we're doing. It can move side to side. And then the last way we're going to move before we go onto our hands and knees is forward and backwards. So I'm just going to ask that you take your legs into a shape in front of you that feels comfortable. Comfortable. And then you're going to try to, I'm going to show it to you this way. You're going to try to arch your spine, a cat-cow while you're seated. So this is one shape, and then this is another, but you're waving to do it, breathing, trying to articulate your spine. If you can picture a nice wave in the ocean, you're that powerful. And then you're going to open the legs all the way, as far as you're comfortable going. This is your inner thigh stretch, and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to see it, and you can have your arms behind you. You're going to arch your spine and curl your spine. So you open the chest and then close just a little bit. I don't really want, I just want you to soften. I don't want you to collapse. One more time. So lifting and curling. Now we're doing a reverse table. So the feet are going to be in line with your sit bones, hands behind you, and the fingers face you. You're going to press into your feet, press into your hands. I like to send my hips a little forward and up. So here's my reverse table. So I'm opening the chest, opening my hips, not easy. And then go ahead down. We're going to take a little push-up position here. So I think we called this day at the beach. Do you remember? Last week somebody said, this is the day at the beach pose. Or even down here, day at the beach, you're like, you know, watching people in the water and you're on the sand. I don't know, I haven't been to the beach yet, but I'm going in about 3 weeks. So yay, yay for me. All right, but now we're gonna do a little push-up here, right? So you can bend and straighten. Maybe you'll have to take your arms up a little bit more. Yeah, the arms have to be away from you so that you can bend and straighten. Are you guys okay on this?
Yes.
It's a little odd. It's a chest stretch, isn't it? Susan, still okay? You can feel the pecs being stretched here. So if it bothers you with your legs straight, you bend them. All right. Now, one more thing. I promise we're going to be on our hands and knees. You're going to take one arm across so you can get a stretch here. So stretching the shoulder. Breathing. Try to relax your shoulders down. Yep, it only goes across. It doesn't go up. And then you're just going to switch to the other side. The arm goes across. That's it. We'll try it 2 more times. Yeah, just noticing it's really about, so it's here first, and then this arm is just encouraging a stretch toward your elbow. All right. The long-awaited hands and knees. So here we go. On your hands and knees. So we're starting to get into the standing postures. And just see how you feel here. You can take your cat-cow. You can also just follow me. I'm going a little forward in my plank, and then I find a shape when I go back. This is my arched shape, and then I go forward, and I find my curled shape. So play around with what works for you. Noticing we're getting strength into our arms. We're articulating through our feet and our spine. The belly's still working here. The breath is still working great, you guys. Good. So it should feel good to move the spine a little bit forward and backward. And then you're going to get into kind of a neutral spine and then circle the hips in one direction. And you can make this as big as you'd like. Go all the way back, all the way to one side. You can come forward. And then you can take it to the other direction. Make sure your neck is not holding any extra tension. Make sure you're acknowledging your breath. And then we're going to come to all fours. And you're going to straighten your right leg out. It's on the mat. Your left toes are down onto the floor. And you're pretty much in a plank. So to kind of prove it to yourself, you're going to lift from the belly and bring your left leg to join your right. And so here you are in your plank. Then you drop your right knee down and your left leg is out. So you might have guessed that we're going to do this a couple times. So you have to pull in from the core to bring your right leg back and you're in your plank. Drop the left knee down and stretch through that right heel. When you're ready, coming up into your plank and dropping your right knee down. Now, both knees go down. That was a surprise, wasn't it?
Yep.
It was a surprise to me too. Okay, now take your right leg out and lift it. Right, so now you're still in your plank, but your right toes are facing down. You should be feeling some work in your arms. You're going to bring your left arm out in front of you and the thumb is facing up. So you're in your really nice posture here. Now you're going to take your arm down, bend the right knee, and just pulse up. We're using a little bit of, the belly has to still pull in, its hamstrings. And then you're going to take that foot down. We've done this before. You're going to bend that right knee, take it out to the side, like I have it here, and you're just going to circle the hips around that leg. It should feel good. It gave your arms a little bit of a break. Both directions of that circle. And we often do this one too. You're going to take that right knee, tuck it behind the left knee and out to the left of that left knee. And you're going to come back into this weird child's pose, which feels like a figure 4 stretch. So come back enough that you get it. Sometimes we don't go back far enough to get that stretch. And then you're going to come forward to do all that on the other side. So now the left leg's going to go back. So get that first. Really make sure you're in your core. I'm going to ask you to do some more planks. So you're going to bring that right leg back and you're in your plank. Left knee goes down. Left foot comes back up and you're in your plank. Right knee goes down. Right knee comes up, you're in your plank. Left knee goes down. We're almost finished. Left knee comes up, you're in your plank, and right knee goes down. Now you're going to lift that left leg up and the right arm up. And you're just going to pause, make sure that the neck feels okay. Drop your shoulders down, let the ribs pull into your body, let your belly pull up. Flex left foot and the right thumb is up. Now put that right hand down, bend the left knee and add these little hamstring curls as we might need them, you never know. 4 more. Hope you feel this. Then go ahead and take that left foot out to the left and circle your hips around. I'm sorry that everything's the same color in my space. Can't really tell. My black matches the black of my sofa. All right, with both directions, then you're going to take that left knee, tuck it behind the right knee and out to the right of that right knee, and you're just going to sit back into child's pose. And you might have to go back a little further than you think to get that stretch, or maybe you're good. Keep breathing, keep letting the head, neck, and shoulders relax. Pull the belly in case it's relaxing. But breathe into the ribs, the back of the ribs, side of your ribs. You can breathe into the belly too. And then go ahead and come forward. We're going to come into our down dog finally. You're going to tuck your toes, lift your hips, and just find your down dog. Make sure your neck, so shake your head yes and no, just to be sure there isn't any tension there. And then draw the strength into where your shoulder blades are. Rather than just your arms and shoulders, pull the belly in. There is a hip crease right here at your hips. This is something Sarah Lesser said, which was really fun. She's another yoga instructor at the sporting club. I want you to pretend that you are a sliding board. Your legs are the steps, and your upper body is the slide. You feel it? Kind of fun. It's a lot of work. And then take your slide away so that now you're in your V, and lift your right leg. You're going to bend your knee, and you're going to puff up. You're going to bring your shoulders over your hands, and you're going to kind of round out that upper back to step that right foot forward between your hands. Once you have that, now I have blocks. But if you don't have blocks, that's fine. You're just going to rock a little forward and a little backward in this position, as we do often, to just kind of open up the hips. So with your blocks, it just is a little easier. You can bend both knees and then straighten both legs. Try to keep that right hip back, left hip forward, and try to breathe. And then you're going to drop the back knee down so that left knee drops down. You can take a block inside of your right foot if you'd like. Left hand goes there so that you can twist to your right. You do not have to don't have to bring this arm up. That arm can actually go down and behind you to lift your chest and open the shoulders. And then let's come back and frame the right foot and lift the back knee. Now we're coming into warrior two, so you're going to drop that left foot down so that there's a straight line between your right heel and your left arch, and then you're just going to come up, take your hands on your hips for the moment. So I'm sorry you can't see me. Let's see if I can fix that. So here's your warrior two without your arms. You got your legs. And just make sure that your torso is right in the middle. Our tendency is to bring it forward or backward, but it's right in the middle. And then make sure your right knee is right over your right heel. And then zip in through the belly. And then with wide shoulders, you're going to bring your arms out. And the only thing that turns are your eyes. So your neck actually turns and looks over the right middle finger. Good. So there's a lot of work on the left as well as the right, even though you're looking only at the right. And then you're going to flip the right palm, and you're going to lift up and over to create a side bend in your spine. You're looking up if you can. If not, don't worry about it. But you're also pulling that arm bone back into the socket. And then come back to your warrior two. And this time, turn the right toes so that everything faces me or faces your front, and take your hands on your hips again. So we're going to add a little back bend here. You're going to zip in through the belly. You're going to lift tall and then lift your chest toward the ceiling to find a back bend here. So maybe you take your hands back behind your neck to support it in this position, You decide, but it's really basically up, 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 up so much that you bend a little backward over something that's underneath your ribs, underneath your shoulder blades. Now, come back to neutral. Take your hands at your hip crease here, and you're just going to fold forward in a long spine. So you fold, 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 and you send your hands down and your head down. So just dangle. Make sure all the toes face forward, and you can shake your head yes and no. And what we're going to do here is you're not going to move your legs, but you're going to move your hips to one side and the other. It's not a big movement. It almost feels like a little twist that I'm doing. So if you want to add a little twist to this, but you're not moving your legs, you're moving your hips and your spine. Then from here, you're just going to walk your feet in closer to one another. So they kind of toe heel together. This is your forward fold again, but it's different because now your legs are closer together. Take your hands on your shins or your thighs and take a nice inhale here to find this nice long spine. So this is your L shape. Most of your weight is in your front of your feet as well as your heels. So not just on your heels. And then forward fold. You can bend and straighten your knees here a little bit. Taking your chest to kind of come closer to your thighs. Getting this big hip crease. And then you're going to roll your spine all the way up to standing. And just shrug your shoulders. Nice. So we're going to add a little side bend here. So you can steeple your fingers up. So these side bends, if when you bring your arms up, your shoulders go way up, just see if you can drop your shoulders down. I mean, they will come up, they have to. So actually try this. Just try stretching one side and the other, like this stretch. And notice that, of course, your shoulder blades and everything will come up a little bit, right? But you also want to have the down, a little bit of the down. So that's all that's happening here. The arms go up, the shoulders can go a little bit down, just so that you have the opposition. You're going to steeple your fingers like this, and you're just going to go to one side and the other. Yeah. So same thing we did seated, but now it feels different standing. Breathe. Get what you need here. And then we're going to throw in a little balance here. So bring your arms down and then take them to your hips so that you can almost push the hips in to create some balance here. So bring your feet closer together. And we are going back to that warrior two with your right leg forward, just to let you know. So you're here. You're going to stand on your, I'm not going to mirror you. You're going to stand on your left leg. And you're going to lift your right knee up. So find a focal point. Draw the belly in and up. You can hold underneath your knee if that helps you connect, because it helps you get out of your hip flexors a little bit. Drop this right hip down. And then we're going to tuck this into tree. So you can take that foot. It's a little kickstand you can do. You can take it to the lower leg bone. You can take it to the upper leg bone as long as it's not on the knee. And then you're lifting up and you're going to come into your prayer hands. Now, any movement that you make is going to challenge your balance. So if you bring your arms up as tree branches and you lift your chest and lift your gaze, it's going to challenge your balance. So you breathe. And then we're going to come back down and put everything down. All right. Other leg. So now you're standing on your right leg. So find the tailbone drop down. Everything is strong and lifted. And then you lift your left leg. You can hold underneath it. So you bent your knee, but you're pulling up out of it. Oh, so find something to gaze at. Your chin is level with your pubic bone. And then you're going to tuck this leg into your tree. So it can be your kickstand. It can be the lower leg bones. It can be the upper. Either way, your hips are level, shoulders are level, hands go to heart center. And you breathe. And if you want to challenge yourself with a little balance, every time you move just a little bit, it creates the challenge. And then we'll come back down, take that leg down and shake it up. Very nice. Let's go back into warrior two. Right leg on this balance beam with the left arch. Bend that right knee so that the right knee is right over the right ankle, and then send your arms out. Now you're going to take this right forearm on the right thigh, left bicep by the ear, and you're coming into what's called side angle. If you want to, you can straighten this left arm and straighten the right arm and twist open toward the ceiling. Now take this left arm, bend it back so that you can find the inside of your right hip. And that also will create some leverage so that you can add a little twist to this. Oh, my. Now come back up to warrior two. Straighten the right leg. Flip your right palm, find that side bend again, this time with a straight right leg rather than bent. Make sure your neck is in line with your spine, good. Now you're going to come into triangle from here. So from here, you're going to put this right hip underneath the left, and you can stay right here and bring your arms up like this. Or you can take that right arm down, left arm up, and now you're in your triangle. So this right hand should not try to reach too far, because then you end up sinking in this right side. So you actually want this, I hope you see this as two straight lines in your spine. Now you're gonna come back up into warrior two. That was a lot, but it's not over yet. So we're gonna try to get into crescent lunge on this side, which means let's go ahead and cartwheel, frame your right foot. Bring your left foot back so that it's on railroad tracks. And remember we did this nice stretch here? So do that again. So that we can come into our crescent lunge with our knee lifted. So this is quite the balance, but you're in your crescent lunge now. And the belly's pulled back, the chest is pulled back, the arms can lift up. This is your ready position. And then we're going to try to drop that left heel down to get into warrior one. Are there any questions at the moment? You were in your crescent with, I'm going to show you my feet. You were in your crescent with this left heel lifted. Then it drops down and goes on a little bit of an angle here. But this right knee is still bent, and this is called warrior one. All right, guess what? You're gonna go down and frame your right foot so that you can come back into this crescent with your hands down. And then you're going to bring your right foot back to join your left to find your down dog, and it's all familiar now. Yay. You're going to come forward into your high plank. Then just drop your knees, your chest, and your head. And come all the way down on the belly. And then take your hands underneath your forehead and just wiggle around a little bit on your belly. So this is your prone position. We're going to work our back a little bit. But before we do, just really walk your legs out of your hip as much as you can. And then I like to take my hands and prepare my belly. So I pull my navel in and up, and I pull my ribs up. So I've got my abs working. And then I lengthen my tailbone, make sure my legs are working. Hands under my shoulders. And then send your elbows back as you send your chest forward. So you're in this swan or this cobra. I want you to go up as far as you feel like going, and then down a couple times. So it does require some arms, but it also requires your entire body. So you're moving up and down a few times. It's a lot of core strength. Keep your elbows close to your body, Susan. Yeah. So the triceps should be working. So try incrementally coming up rather than coming up all the way. Think about it as a journey. You're an airplane, so each rib comes off separately and then comes back on separately. And then when you're finished, just sit back into child's pose slowly. Knees come apart, feet are together. You can also do this on your back, hugging your knees in. Get what you need here. Take a few deep breaths. It's really nice to breathe here because it's very into yourself. And then we'll go ahead and stack your spine back up. We're coming into down dog again to do everything on the other side. But you're familiar with it, so it won't be bad. I'm going to turn this way. So maybe just finding another little cat-cow, just getting ready. I feel like this kind of revs the engine a little bit. Because part of me says, oh, the heck with the other side, right? You're like, no. All right, now curl the toes. Lift your hips. You're in your down dog. Here it is. So you can pedal out the feet. Remember that your neck is free and your shoulders are relaxed and you're gazing between your legs somewhere. And now you're going to lift your left leg. So really stretch it. You'll bend the knee, look toward the top of the mat. Now this is important. Get your your shoulders over your hands. And then puff up your back a little bit like you're doing an upper ab curl, to create some space to bring this foot between your hands. Great place for blocks. Otherwise, you're just going ahead and rocking forward and backward a little bit. You're just getting some stretches, getting a front of the hip stretch and then a hamstring stretch, keeping the hips pretty squared, right? It's hard to keep that left hip back and right hip forward, but that's what you're looking for. Drop your back knee down. And we're good. I think this is where we took a twist. So right hand goes down, right top of the foot goes down. Twisting to your left, lifting your arm up. Remember, you do not have to lift the arm up. You could bend the elbow and draw the fingers to the front of the right hip if that feels better. It's a little shaky. Do the best you can. Pull the belly in and breathe. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and lift that back knee. Drop the back foot down. You're coming up into Warrior Two. Remember, Warrior Two has that left heel in line with the right arch. And then what you want to do is walk your legs apart from one another like they're on a balance beam so that your hips can drop. And now stay facing the front here. So shoulders and hips are square. Take your arms out to shoulder height. And remember, they are not coming from your shoulders. They're coming from, I feel like they're coming from my armpits or my shoulder blades. Now you're looking over your left middle finger. And all you've really done is just turned your neck in that direction. You haven't really turned your hips, which feels really awkward. And bring your body more upright so it's not forward or backward. Now you're going to flip that left palm, reach up and over to find a side bend here. Nice job. Easy neck. Sometimes it bothers my neck. Relaxing your shoulders, lifting the chest. And then let's come back to our Warrior Two. And then from here, we turned and faced forward, but we're not going to do that this time. This time we're going to take that left forearm on your left thigh and your right arm by your bicep by your ear, sorry. Drop that shoulder down. Now this is what I was talking about. I don't want you to collapse on your left side, right? So there's not much weight on here. You're not collapsed like this. There's not much weight. You're really holding yourself up. This is just a point of contact. And you can turn, right? You could also bend this right elbow and try to get your fingers, and that twists you. So pull the belly in. This is hard. This is a shoulder stretch for some of us. Now come back to warrior two. Straighten this leg for a moment. So we are going to do a little something different. Bring all the toes to face forward, and you're just going to try this little hip hinge. So this is a hip stretch. This is a hip hinge. And if you're a little discerning, you'll be able to tell if one is a little bit more tight than the other. I certainly can tell. It's like, really hard. And I can feel my inner thighs, you know, lots of things happen here. Notice that the body is not in a side bend. And then you'll come back with those right toes facing forward in your warrior two pose. Right, we got our warrior two going. Then you're going to straighten the left leg and you're going to hinge here to find your triangle. So if I go all the way down like this isn't my triangle because I have made this into a side bend, right? So I'm here, so my arm can't really go very far. I'd much rather build this stretch on my left and right side and keep that in one arm up, one arm down. Same thing can happen here. You can bend the elbow and find the front of that left hip to turn the ribs if you want to. Keep the belly in, keep breathing. And let's come back to our warrior two, thank goodness. This is where we turned and found crescent lunge. So it might be best to frame your left foot, to bring your right foot into on its railroad tracks, and then find this nice stretch here that we did. It's up to you how much you want to do this. And then it's challenging to find crescent lunge. I find crescent to be one of the harder postures because I don't have my heel down on my back leg. My heel is lifted. So remember, the arms are up if you can, and it's a little back bend if you can. Now, if you can, you're going to go into warrior two from here without putting your hands down. I'll show you both ways. The first way is with the hands down. You're going to take that right heel and put it down so that the right toes face out a little. And then here is your warrior one. Once you have that, I'm going to show that to you. So you're here in your warrior one. So another way to do it is to come back to your crescent lunge with your right heel lifted. And then you just turn it. Did you see that? So the back leg is straight and the front knee is bent. And I know, it's so hard. The hips turn to face your front. Now from here, you're just gonna go ahead and take your hands down to frame that left foot. Now, you're trying to puff up the front of your body so that you can have some strength in your abs to press down on your hands to lift weight off that left foot to bring it back into down dog. And then we're going to drop to our knees. Then we're going to sit down on our feet because it doesn't feel good. And we're almost finished. Susan's looking at our watch. We have 7 minutes. What have I missed for you guys? We did a lot of stretching in the beginning. I'm not doing any more poses. We could do another balance if you wanted to. It's up to you. No comments?
No comments.
All right. Melanie, any comments?
No, I'm still learning.
Okay. All right. So are we. So let's go ahead and go onto our side. So let's go onto your right side, because that's something we don't usually do. So go all the way onto your side and stretch out. That might feel good.
It does.
Does it feel all right?
Yes.
So that's a nice stretch for your side, so don't miss it. And then see if you can draw the belly in a little bit. Keep your neck nice and long. And then we'll just take the top leg hip level and see if you can bring the bottom leg to join it. So you're kind of in a little bit of a side bend. If you lifted your head, you'd really be in more of a side bend. Did that ruin all the pleasure that you just had? And then lower down. And now go ahead over onto your back. So just rolling on over. Getting settled here. Just letting yourself release down. Now you're going to come back to that same side that you were to come up to a seated position. And then you're going to switch your legs to the other side so you can lie down on your left side. Tricky. So all the way down on this side, notice how this feels. So you're trying to create space. It's as though somebody's pulling the legs out and pulling your head out so that you're nice and elongated. You can take this right hand in front of your chest. It's a little easier. You're going to bring both legs up. And then if you want to, you bring your head up. Right? So there's a lot of work here, but it's all good. And then you go ahead down, come onto your back. And if you want to do a shoulder stand, this is your time to do it. If not, you could bring a block underneath your lower body here if you want to. This is something that an inversion of some sort where your legs are going to be higher than your heart. Play around with whatever you have going on. If you have a special thing that you like to do with your hips on a block, you do that. I'm going to do a shoulder stand just for a moment and take my hands underneath my hips and just find a nice inversion. So I'm inverting myself and pulling my belly in and up. I'm relaxing my shoulders and my neck. This really stretches the lower back. So wherever you are, I want you to go ahead and take the yoga block out from under, if it's there. And we'll do something called fish pose, and then we'll go right into Shavasana. So with fish pose, I want you to straighten your legs long. And for a moment, bring your arms up. You can shake them out a little bit. And then your elbows are going to be down. So you have this right angle of your arms. It does sometimes help to have your knees bent. We're going to try it with legs straight. You're going to feel like the muscles right between your shoulder blades are engaging and pushing your chest up to the place where you're sort of in this little back bend. There's not much weight on your head because it's your upper back muscles that are lifting and opening your chest. You can press down on your elbows. Now slowly coming down. Hugging the knees in or rocking the legs from side to side or whatever works for you. Stretching before you take a full Shavasana. But as you release down on the mat, the legs can flop out, right? Your arms can flop. The idea is to let the ground hold you. And then you just sort of let go here. Start to come a little deeper into your breath, just noticing your breath. You have nothing else to do, just notice. In and out. Small movements with your feet. Make some small movements with your hands and fingers. Don't worry about that, that happens.
Sorry.
No worries. Bend your knees. And then again, just take your knees from side to side. Hips from side to side. Nice and lazy, like when they land to your favorite side, you're just going to come over and make a pillow with your arms so that you can just rest here a moment. I want you to take your mind to something really pleasant, whatever that is for you, and very thankful. And keeping your eyes closed or softly gazing, you're just going to press slowly up to a seated position, and we'll end here having a seat. And just taking your hands to heart center for a moment, just noticing how you feel. Are you freer a little bit, liberated out of your body? Or maybe you got into your body. Then you're going to take your thumbs between your eyebrows. You're going to nod your chin towards your chest. And namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you for being with me.
Thank you for doing
Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome. I had fun.
So did I.
So did I.
We'll see what this whole recording thing is like, but I'm going to end the meeting. But it was nice to
Thank
meet
you.
you.
Have a good weekend.
Bye-bye, everyone. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.